the reason I wanted to bring you on today is I get situations from clients where maybe a property is owned by a brother and a sister, maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're owned by a family member and a cousin, maybe they're owned by two friends,
Yep.
and at some point one of them decides that they want to sell the property and the other party doesn't want to sell the property, and they come to me, Jose, I want to sell the property, but X person doesn't want to sell the property. What
Right.
do I? So I wanted to ask you, what can somebody do in a situation like that, where one party wants to sell and the other party doesn't? Assuming
Mhm.
it's not a divorce, right? This is not applicable for like if the property is like a husband and
Right.
wife, I would imagine.
Yeah, a spousal dissolution is different in most cases than a partition action, what we're going to be talking about. But the reality is, it's a divorce, right? It's just a different kind of divorce, right? And most of the time, and what we see with partitions is often people who've inherited property,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they didn't plan on being business partners,
Uh-huh.
right? They ended up business partners and they're not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
It does happen where people go in with a plan, and as time goes on, their interests change, their needs change, their financial situations change, right? And they're in different spaces. But generally, partition actions, and when we get to litigation, it's a situation where just two people got thrown, or more. It can be more than two, right? People got thrown together and need to figure out what to do.
Okay. So basically, it's just another form of divorce, but it basically just people's interests change, and maybe they want to go in a different direction. So, what does the process look like? Like, if
Yep.
I wanted to sell my property, and maybe we can go even into both sides. Like, let's
Yeah.
say I'm the party that wants to sell the property, and my cousin Jim doesn't want to sell their property.
Right.
What process could I take, and what does that process look like as well too?
Right. So again, as I kind of talked about, my goal is to avoid litigation whenever possible. If this goes to litigation, it costs money, right? Courts cost money, attorneys cost money. So if we have a situation like that, right? You got two owners, they're in a different space. If the one who wants to sell comes to me, we're going to write a letter, right? That's how we're going to start. We're going to reach out to the partner and say, Jose wants out of this deal, right? So the options are you buy Jose out, or Jose is going to take the legal action necessary to get out, right? And so that's how we would start that conversation.
Okay. And in that letter, would I include a copy of like a listing agreement saying, hey, look, this is what I want to sell the property for. This is how much fees are going to be. And do I include a deadline as well too? Like, is there like, does the letter just say I want out? Or does it say like I want out by a certain amount of time?